Awesome. I'm so excited.
Voodoo
This
is
is have
on the
fun. I'm so excited.
Oh,
Wow, I can't believe we're finally here. I can't believe I finished the whole book, right, Katie? I'm so excited that I finished the
yeah.
book. Well, welcome everybody. The day has finally come. I know we've all been anxiously awaiting it, but probably nobody more than Katie and myself as we like weirdly text one another about how excited we are. But we're so excited to have you guys here, and we are so excited that this is the first episode of Between the Lines.
Between the lines, woo!
I love it. I love it. So the cool part about this is we finished the book, so that's the first step to this. But the book, in case you didn't read it, in case you just decided that you were tuning in a few minutes ago, because I know Katie said she had somebody that was tuning in just a few minutes ago.
I'm texting him right now. Are you on the site? Are you?
I love it. The book that we are discussing is Dare to Lead by Brené Brown. And book club, what I loved, and one of my big takeaways from this book, Katie, was one of the first things she starts out with is she talks about creating a safe space and permission slips. And I love this idea of permission slips because I wanted to establish sort of permission slips for Between the Lines, because I want everybody to understand like what it is that we're doing here, what we're discussing, how people feel. So I had a few permissions that I'm fine with, and I'd love if you guys would drop down in the comments down there. Katie and I are following along. If you drop down in the comments other things that you would like to be in the permission slip. But Katie and I give you guys permission to show up. And what we mean by that is obviously we'd love having you guys here, but we mean show up fully, show up prepared, unprepared, just be here with us. What we're trying to do is create a community, right, Katie?
Amen. Absolutely. And so on the topic of finishing books, I didn't finish it.
I love it.
I was listening to it, and I got all the way through the armored leadership and versus daring leadership, and I was just so like I had to sit with that. I couldn't just keep plowing through it, so I kind of stopped there and hung with it. And then I like fast forwarded and grabbed the rest of the takeaways, and that's okay. I have permission to do that.
You do. That's part of it. You have permission to contribute, or you have permission to just listen in. The other thing that you guys have permission to do is you have permission to drink. So Katie and I not only are hosting this on the first Thursday, but as Katie has so eloquently put it, we're hosting it on the Thirst Thursday. So Katie, what are you drinking tonight?
Today I am drinking a lovely Kendall Jackson. It's my first glass, I swear. Glass of Vintner's Reserve Chardonnay. I am actually in the winter usually a red wine drinker, but tonight we had corn chowder, and this went really nicely with it. So cheers.
Well, I paired my dinner with a black cherry hard seltzer. I was keeping it light tonight, but it's also okay if you guys are not drinking and you don't want to have cocktails with us. That's always fine. That's just something fun that Katie and I wanted to do as part of how we'll start each show. So the other thing that you guys have permission to do is you have permission to ask for what you need. This was another takeaway that I had from the book. And Katie, I don't know if you listened to this part of the book or not, but I love this point because I think it's something that so many of us struggle with, this idea of asking when we need something rather than just kind of charging ahead and saying, yeah, I've got this, I'll figure it out. Saying, hey, I really struggled with this concept. What did that mean to you?
Yep.
So we really want you guys to ask for what you need, be interactive in the comments, be interactive. Most of you guys were invited to the Facebook group. By the way, if you did not get invited to the Facebook group, shoot us a message on Compass South and we'll make sure that you get added. We had all of your email addresses and not all of you guys register for Facebook with the same email address. So we struggled to add a few people. And I know other people are always joining. But the Facebook group is designed to continue the conversation. These episodes are going to be, 45, 60 minutes, and we're going to enjoy each other's company. But so much of the books that we're reading require putting things into action, require soaking on it.
And actually, that's where I want to jump in. This book club is nothing if you don't put it into action. There's a lot of great theory. If you read the book, then your head is probably bulging with concepts that just blow your mind and excite you and get you fired up. And those will die within the next 3 or 4 days if you don't act on them. One thing, if you act on one thing, you will have gotten your money's worth out of this book. So that is going to be a huge theme for us, is action.
Yeah. And what's exciting about this is obviously with this first book, we're establishing everything today. But what will be so fun about having the Facebook group is we'll be able to talk to one another as we're reading the books moving forward too.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to pull some takeaways and make book club even more interactive. So if you haven't already joined the group or been invited, shoot us a message, let us know, and we will make sure that you get added so that you can participate beyond just the conversation here too. So Scott, I see you here. Cheers, my friend. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad Ginger's here. Brandy's
Hi,
here.
Brandy. Yeah.
Looks like a ton of people are joining on. Kim's here. So we've got a bunch of you guys that are joining.
John, what's up? He made it. Woo!
He made it. The guy that was going to join 5 minutes ago joined. So I am super excited about that. So Katie and I talked a little bit over the past few days about how we wanted to structure this. And basically what we want to do is, because we're limited in time, we want to break this book down to our 3 top takeaways. And we're going to pull things from throughout the book. But the 3 top takeaways that we think are so important that if you get nothing else from the book, if you decide, hey, I'm halfway through the book, I don't want to read the rest of the book, these are things that we really think are important things, right, Katie?
Yeah, exactly. And actually, what I also want you to know is we're going to give you what's going to happen for the rest of this call. By the way, it's going to end at 9 sharp, maybe sooner. We respect your time and we want you to respect ours. So like show up on time and we will promise to not use any extra time of yours because we know how valuable it is. So what we're going to do today, so what we've already done is giving a little introduction, talked about what the club is all about and the title and all that good stuff. And we will actually be visiting our beverages each night. So it's going to be fun. Actually, I might get creative with that. That might be interesting.
I'm gonna get like a custom cup made, like a book club mug. Something like that. So let me go with this first takeaway.
Wait.
Okay, go. I'll wait.
I would ask permission to interrupt you. I just want to finish my thought. I think I love when I am listening to something or in a course or whatever, and the leader tells me exactly what's going to happen and how it's going to go down. And I don't know if I got it all out. What I want you guys to know was that we're going to hit you with the 3 big takeaways. Then we're going to present you the 16 armored versions of armored leadership and what the sort of daring cures are for that. And then we're going to wrap it up. So that's how it's going to go tonight. That's what you should be expecting. Okay, take it away, Alyssa.
Cool. So the first takeaway that we have is a quote that Brené had in the book. It's on page 271 in case you would like to follow along. If you brought your book, great. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. But she says, the level of collective courage in an organization is the absolute best predictor of that organization's ability to be successful in terms of its culture, to develop leaders, and to meet its mission. So I love that point because I think that is so incredibly important. And so many, like you see so many organizations out there kind of like define their core values and like, say these pretty things and say, we're all leaders, but it's really all about living those values, right? It's about like, what are you doing to live your mission? What are you doing to be courageous? And part of this courage, what do you think, Katie? I think part of having this courage is addressing some of these issues head on when you see issues kind of bubble up in your organization.
Absolutely. And actually the point that I like the most is the term collective courage. What does that mean to everybody? It's not just the courage of the leader, it's the courage of all of us. And it's set up by the leaders. And I have to pause just for a moment because I'm getting some weird feedback on my feed here.
Okay,
So
I'll kind of keep going and
Yeah,
let you kind of
rolling.
figure out your stuff. So what I love about this, and you guys feel free to comment in the feed there, and we'll kind of incorporate those comments as well. But what I love is she talks about having this cave that you fear to enter when she talks about
All right, I'm back
courageous leadership. And I think that's so important, because it really kind of painted the picture for me of like, what does she mean when she's talking about courageous leadership or even daring leadership that she gets around to? And this idea of this cave that you fear to enter, it's like, I fear at looking at the adoption issues that are happening with technology in my company, or I fear looking at the engagement of my team members not attending team meetings or not doing the things that we're asking. And I think that's something that like we're all really kind of struggling with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many things that we kind of we really let it go and hope it's going to take care of itself. And it's become the issue in an organization is it becomes acceptable to do that. And the lack of courage is not even noticed. It's not even registered as that, because it's in so many ways become so normal. And then we really do, even if we within an organization, if we're not the leader, we still watch what's happening up there and kind of go unconsciously be like, all right, well, I don't want to deal with the fact that this client is totally abusing me, and and I'm really unhappy. I'm just gonna roll with it, because that's what we do around here. It's not a conscious thought; it's what happens.
Yeah,
that's why I think the collective courage, but it has to start at the top.
Yeah,
and then it spills down to everybody else.
Yeah, so I kind of I heard Katie early on in our conversation. Katie and I, by the way, were chit-chatting all the way through reading this book. And so that's part of why we created that Facebook group for you guys, because we saw what value that added to our reading of the book, and we want you guys to have that moving forward. But one of the things that Brené challenges you to do is she challenges you to kind of come up with a personal call to bravery, or a personal call to courage as a leader. And the one that I chose, because I felt like it was important for me, and I mean, call it a New Year's resolution if you want, call it whatever you want, but my personal call to courage is I want to be braver about asking for what I need. Because that's something that I don't always do. I don't always ask for what I need. I tend to go and fix. It looks like my kids are watching with my wife upstairs. I'm seeing the comments.
Awesome.
Hey guys, how you doing? So that's not something I always do. I don't always ask for that help or ask for what I need. I tend to try and figure it out. And I convince myself in some weird way that I'm learning more by doing that. Right. And I'm so not like, it's not the point.
Yep. And if you guys aren't sure what Alyssa's talking about, this is the second big takeaway. And the quote is, did you read the quote already? Did I miss that in when I was kind of falling apart technically?
I think so.
Okay. All right. So, hey there. So if you fell apart when I fell apart, we are on the second big takeaway here. And I love that you came out that, with that vulnerability.
Oh, wait, no, I didn't read the second quote. I can read the second quote.
I want to read it. I really want
to. Go, please.
Love this one. So the second big takeaway is the greatest challenge in developing brave leaders is helping them acknowledge and answer their personal call to courage. Now that's what Alyssa was just referring to, her personal call to courage. Courage can be learned if we're willing to put down our armor, and we'll talk a little bit about armor in a minute, and pick up the shared language, tools, and skills we need for rumbling with vulnerability. Now, rumbling is a term that Brené uses throughout the book. For rumbling with vulnerability, living into our values, braving trust, and learning to rise. Now, there's a lot in that quote right there.
That's like a whole book right there, just in that one line.
It's indeed pretty much a third of a book, actually. Very specific book. But the first part is they're helping them acknowledge and answer their personal call to courage. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that we're hoping for you guys, that what is your call to courage? What is the thing that you are kind of leaning away from? that, you know, if you just leaned into it a little bit more, or if you came at it from a different perspective, you know, there's growth there for you. You know, there's opportunity.
Yeah.
I wonder what that is for you.
So Brandy brought up an interesting point. She said she loves that she said that kindness and honesty is courageous, and that she thinks it's interesting to note that confrontation doesn't actually equal courage. And I think that's such a good point, because one of the things that I think a lot of us struggle with is we sort of also avoid some confrontation where we say, you know, Katie will get it figured out. I'm just going to let her kind of mess it up, and I'm going to beat myself up and be annoyed about it, but I'm not going to address it because like she'll get there on her own.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of, you know, clarity is kind and kindness is courage, because this whole idea of you have to set these clear boundaries. You have to communicate with clarity. You have to be clear about the expectations that you have of others. And it doesn't mean that you're saying, I'm going to do it for you. It's you saying, I expect you to do this. How can I help you do that? And I think that's so powerful, right?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. And I was reading the comments there, and I'll figure out something just popped into my brain. And it'll come back. Forgive me.
It might be at the bottom of that Kendall Jackson bottle of wine.
Let me just check. Let me just have a peek. See here. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's so powerful. So, Katie.
I thought of it.
Please.
Oh, okay. So, anybody here know who Claude Silver is? I'm going to give the comments a minute. Claude Silver. Do you know who Claude Silver is?
I do
Alyssa?
not. Should I?
Actually, she's not interested. She doesn't really care if you know who she is, which is kind of cool. Claude Silver is the chief heart officer at VaynerX. And just her title alone, chief heart officer, blows my mind that there would be someone. So yes, it's kind of an HR-y kind of position, but I don't think she's talking about, you know, insurance benefits. She's actually talking about the hearts of the people who work there at Vayner. And it's all the stuff that Brené is talking about. It's all about the being vulnerable. And of course, as you know, Gary Vaynerchuk, you know, preaches empathy as a major vehicle towards success in just, you know, in life, not just in finances and whatnot. And the reason I bring that up is, I'll be honest with you and everybody here, sometimes I read this stuff or I listen to Brené and I'm like, I'm great. I wish we all had Brené Brown to come to our organization and tell them what's what in the land of what. But there's no way I'm going to get this to fly anywhere here, because, you know, it's too airy-fairy. And the great thing that Claude talked about, I saw it on LinkedIn today. So follow Claude Silver on LinkedIn if you don't already. She cannot bear the term soft skills. Can't even stand it. She said, those aren't soft skills, they're survival skills. And I
love that.
Oh my gosh, that is it. And that's exactly what is going on in this book. These soft skills, they're survival skills. And I am going to go out on a little edge here, if I may, and say that there's been an evolution in business from this real hard edge stuff, you know, very, very armored leadership toward this daring leadership. And I'm going to say it's led by the ladies. What? I do. I really think that women bring a completely different kind of leadership. And I know that the temptation to go off on a tangent right now is really strong, but I just like, it makes complete sense to me and you and lots of men too. This isn't, you know, unique to women, but there are things about armored leadership that come real naturally to me. So it's not, doesn't make, you know, I'm not, just because I'm a girl doesn't make this all, me all perfect at this.
Yeah.
But I think that there is something in our wiring that makes it click pretty fast for lots of us.
Yeah. No, it kind of goes right into Brené's point of like that you have to have this emotional literacy that's not only about recognizing certain like core emotions in yourself, but about recognizing what are the indicators of those emotions in the people I'm interacting with. Or am I setting them off in a weird way? Am I making them uncomfortable? But it kind of, I don't actually necessarily disagree with you that this is being led by women. I actually do agree with you. But I think there's also some skills that are inherently masculine skills. The idea of rumbling, like that's a masculine word to begin with. But the idea of we avoid these tough conversations, women especially avoid tough conversations because we can't control the path, we can't control the outcome. And men tend to not really struggle with the idea of the tough conversation, but they do struggle with the idea of kind of the dealing with the emotions of the tough conversation. And we sort of avoid those tough conversations because of those emotions. So I think it really like, this isn't something that like, if you're a man on the call, I wouldn't be like, well, thanks for coming. Like, I don't need to do this. And if you're a woman, I wouldn't be like, got this. Don't worry about me. Yeah. I think that there's skills.
You don't got it.
Yeah, no, there's totally skills that I think both men and women pull from that really are important to her entire idea of leadership.
Yeah, without a doubt. I don't want to get mired down in the gender thing there, but it is something that I think it's a thing.
Yeah, no, you and I, we'll talk offline about that because I totally tend to agree with you. So yeah. Let me read this last one because I know this last one's also going to take us on we're going to spend a little bit more time on this last one, which is why we're getting to it. So she says, we fail the minute we let someone else define success for us. Like many of you, I spent too many years taking on projects and even positions just to prove I could do it. I know I have. I was driven by a definition of success that didn't reflect who I am, what I want, or what brings me joy. It was simply accomplish, acquire, collapse, repeat. There was very little joy, very little meaning, and tons of exhaustion and resentment.
And we think it's normal. Like everything that you just described like there was like, well, yeah, that's life, right? That's just how it goes. There's a real part in me in there that cannot accept that there's another way. And this is where I feel like at least I have a ton of learning to do.
Yeah. No, I think it's like this culture of more that we all face. I mean, like it's especially obviously, and don't worry if you're not in real estate and you're on the call, it's especially prevalent in real estate where there's this culture of more. I need to do more than I did last year, more transactions.
I think that's actually sales in general.
Yeah, I would agree. But I also think it's so like, it's in every profession, frankly. And it's in every element of life. Like you could look at your neighbors. It's the whole concept of keeping up with the Joneses of like, I've got to do more. I've got to do better. I've got to balance it all and make everybody happy. And like, I love like her point of it was just accomplish, acquire, collapse, repeat. I was like, oh, she struck me right there because it's so like, that's the mode we all sort of go in. We all sort of go into like, I'm going to slay it right now. Like I've got to.
But what's wrong with that, Alyssa? Right what's wrong with slaying it? What's wrong with accomplishing? What's wrong with acquiring?
Like, nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think there's something wrong with it when the trade-offs are too high, when it's not sustainable, right?
Yeah. And when like the resentment, I guess, is the piece, the exhaustion and the resentment.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like one of those people that like, I mean, you hear everybody say, like, nobody's on their deathbed saying, I wish I worked more, or I wish I had more money, or I wish I did more things. Like, they're sitting there with their family or friends or whoever saying, I wish I spent more time with them. And so I think, like, I'm all for accomplishing and acquiring and doing all of these things. I mean, like, it's inherent in what I do. I'm all for that. But I'm also for, how do you make it sustainable? How do you do it so you don't hate your life? How do you do it so that when your head hits the pillow, you're okay with your life and you feel balanced in some form or fashion?
Got me. So John, my new friend who just hopped on in the last 5 minutes, he said a great big yes to that. Some of the happiest people I know have found a success and contentment in things that have nothing to do with numbers and volume. And I'm just being completely honest that I I don't know where to put that in my life right now.
Yeah.
I've got to figure help me. Maybe I should read a book. Oh yeah. No, it is good. I think that really getting into, once we get into those the armored leadership, and then sort of what is the counter to that in the daring leadership will be really good.
Yeah.
That really spells it out. And there was definitely some like, oh yeah, now I hear what you're saying. I love that she did that, because honestly, talking about this stuff right now, I feel a little like lost. Like, if that's not the way, what is the way?
Well, I think there's that balance. So like, you can accomplish and acquire and not feel that resentment and feel some meaning in what you're doing. So like, my wife hates when I use her as an example, but she's just a perfect example in this scenario.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry. Maybe she's not watching anymore. It sounded like she was taking the dog out. So I might get away with it. But my point is, she came home the other day after showing some buyers, and she was like elated. And it was not a high price point home. It was like right around Christmas time. So it was like not the most ideal time to show. And she was like sitting down with me and saying, Alyssa, like, they brought me back to why I love what I do. Like, they were so appreciative of the process. They trusted my counsel. They enjoyed working with me. They can't wait to get into that home. Like, I just feel so full of life and like fulfilled for what I just went and spent a few hours to do. And like, that's what I mean. Like, she's accomplishing, she's acquiring when she's doing it, but she's not like, that's not the sort of thing that gets us to a point of collapsing or to resenting.
You're right. And actually, when I reflect on my own work and what I'm doing right now, I can't remember the last time I was exhausted or really resentful. I really can't. So I guess I'm figuring it out. But it's so easy when you read a book like this or have a conversation like this to get into a space where you make achievement wrong.
Right.
It's a really fine line. And I don't want anybody else to fall down that trap. Like, I'm lucky I've got Alyssa, so I can say this stuff. And she's like, girl, shut up. But like, you've got to keep your own heads out of that too. This isn't a binary thing. Like, all, achievement is evil. Like, filthy rich, not a thing.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going there. But like, I mean, in this conversation, I can speak to both sides of it and believe, real strong, no matter what. So it's definitely something that we all can be more conscious of.
Yeah. And I think like, you're hitting the nail on the head when you say it's something we need to be more conscious of, because what you're saying in that moment is, you're saying like, I need to be more emotionally literate, as she puts it. Like, I need to recognize if I'm getting to that point of like, this is going to collapse me, or this is not fulfilling me. And then those are kind of like the, okay, stop, pivot, adjust moments that I think just we don't do. And I don't think it's like that we don't do it because society doesn't tell us to do it. Society doesn't give us pause enough to do that.
Okay, right there. A couple of things. One, there are signs when you need to check that out. And two, so the signs are, exhaustion, resentment, collapse. If you start to, hover near those, that's when you've gone too far. But the other piece is, society tells us. I gotta be honest with you, I can't stand that phrase. That drives me nuts. That is a powerless place to be speaking from.
Yeah.
Never blame it on society. You are 100% in control of what you do, how you respond to things. If you find yourself, and I put myself in the same box, that if you find yourself with a knee-jerk response to anything, check yourself.
Mm-hmm. Before you wreck yourself.
That's
a common saying in this household. So no, I love that point. I think that's so good. So this is a perfect transition into our discussion of armored leadership versus daring leadership. Because before we kind of go into this, I want to pull out this word leadership, because I think everybody kind of joining the book club, to me, you guys are leaders. You probably self-identify as leaders, but in case you don't, I think this is just armored versus daring. Like,
Yes.
remove the leadership part about it.
Yes.
This
yes.
is kind of something you just have to kind of, this is a way of life.
Just
if you ask
being.
me.
Yeah,
Yes,
just being.
yes.
When we talk about leadership, doesn't mean your leadership position in your job. You're believing you have a leadership position in your
Yeah.
life. And
Yeah.
that's what this is about.
Mm-hmm. So it will get posted, I believe, in the group, the Between the Lines Facebook group. Again, if you did not get added to that, I've seen some people hopping on. If you didn't get added to that, just shoot me a message or shoot Compass South a message, and we'll make sure that you guys do get added to that. But a PDF of this is going to be on the group so that you guys
a PDF of the 16
of the 16.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's a list that we pulled that has the comparison. And basically the way it works, and Katie and I did this, is it's a scale of like 1 to 4. Of one side is armored, so 1 would be closer to armored, and 4 would be closer to daring. So you don't have to be armored or daring. You can be daringly armored or armored with the touch of daring. Like there's a balance in here. It's not a hard and fast that I am one or I am the other. Yep. And I think I'm curious for you, Katie, when I went down the the list of 16 of them, I found myself somewhere in the middle on, I would say, the majority of them.
I would say that is also true for me. I'm just pulling it up right now so I can name it. There were a couple that I was like, shut up, Brené.
Totally. I know. I was like, get out of my head. Why are you making me feel bad? I thought this book club wasn't about book shaming. And then I was like,
it didn't have anything to do with me.
Totally.
Oh, crap.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm like, my therapist is going in overtime this month. No, I think it was good. So, Katie, do you want to go through them one by one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure.
So let's start at the first one. So we're going to give you the version of armored leadership, and then what is the daring leadership. So the first one is driving perfectionism and fostering the fear of failure. Now this sounds like it villainizes that, that way of being and way of leading, and I guess it is always bad. Do you see me over here not like accepting that this isn't a great thing? But the answer to that armored version of leadership, of driving perfectionism and fostering fear of failure, and I love this one, daring leadership version, is modeling and encouraging healthy striving, empathy, and self-compassion. Like, oh, yeah, I got that. And that, this does not make you a cream puff. This is healthy striving. The perfectionism, and I love how she dives deep on the perfectionism thing, that it is, first of all, it never happens. You never get there. And it's that perfectionism is driven by some ugly, dark thing from your past, man, that you got to work out. This is not a place where I actually struggle. I look at this and I could say I can sympathize with one side there. But honestly, the modeling and encouraging healthy striving, empathy, and self-compassion, I'm a 3 over there. What do you think you are?
Yeah, so I actually put myself as a 3 as well. Yeah. I mean, I think ironically, maybe not ironically, but ironically for me, I felt like, and this is why I said maybe take the leadership out of it, and it might help you self-identify a little bit better. Because I think this is something where I identified with it heavily in parenting. Where I'm like, I want you to do well in school. You need to take school seriously. Homework is important. It's okay if you get it wrong, though, because that's how we learn, you know? And like, there's that balance of like, you need to have a little bit so that you're still striving, but you need to have enough empathy to know that trying is okay. And Brandy pulled out one of my favorite sayings that my good friend Zach Shabbat coins, talking about celebrate the try. And I love this. I love celebrating the try because I think it's so important. Like, I'm all about celebrating the try of like, hey, you did something new. Cool. Yeah. Like, tell me about it. Why did you decide to do that?
And when you say that, celebrating the try reminds me of one of my favorite sayings, which is be attached to the activity, not the outcome.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that.
Let's go to number 2. Why don't you
Sure.
take that one?
So armored leadership is working from scarcity and squandering opportunities for joy and recognition. That sounds intense. And daring leadership is practicing gratitude and celebrating milestones and victories. Where were you on this, Katie?
I'm a 4. I'm real good on. I feel
Yeah.
really good about this one.
I think it's an inherent part of our personalities. I was a 4 as well. There's certainly times where I don't think I'm as good at gratitude as I would like to be.
Yep.
And I think that's like not taking that moment of pause. But I'm big on celebrating the milestones, celebrating the small wins, being thankful for what I have. I think it's just something I work really hard to do. I actually use something in the mornings. A lot of you guys that know me pretty well know that I use something called the 5-minute journal in the morning. And that has drastically changed my gratitude practices, where it asks you a few questions about what you're grateful for in the morning and how you can make that day great. And then you have to do an affirmation, and then you come back to it and revisit it in the evenings. And what I love about this journal, not to take you on a separate book, but what I love about it is it forces me to start my day with gratitude. And it also forces me, like, even if I'm exhausted, even if like the dogs have peed in the house and the kids are going crazy or whatever, like it also forces me to end my day with gratitude, which for me has been a huge, huge asset to this.
So I'm dropping a link into the conversation here, and it is from my website. This is what I do at the end and beginning of every year to get complete with the year that's happened and to prepare for the one going forward. And the first 2 exercises on it are: go back through all of your social media, your calendar, your journals, whatever, and look at all of the high points, the wins, the successes of your life, and give yourself a little party, or be grateful, whatever it is, have those happy feelings. And then the second piece of it is to go through all of the low points, the failures, the losses, the challenges and mistakes, and take the learning from those, and then pack them up and be done with them.
I love it.
Self-flagellation, but just get the learning that is there so you don't do it again, and the growth, and take it with you, so that everything you take from that year before, and it's all about that reflection, that the time that we don't often spend. And that's why I love that 5-minute journal, 5-second journal, isn't it?
No, 5-minute journal.
Oh, I have a I have a faster
Me too.
journal.
Me too. I have a 5-second and a 5-minute. I'm really big on 5s in my life. No, the other thing I just want to mention real quick is my good friend Leslie Heindel in New Orleans, or Orleans. I don't know how to say it really. But she posted the other day, and she does something really cool where she keeps a jar next to her bed. And every time something small that like makes her happy throughout the year happens, she writes it down on a little piece of paper and puts it in the jar. And then on New Year's Day, I think it's on New Year's Day, she dumps it all out and she reads them all. And it's like all of the small little things, like, I saw such and such friend, or like I saw this.
The dog is finally potty trained.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like all these small moments that literally just get caught in our day-to-day lives and like just lost by the end of the year.
I gave a blessing jar as a gift this year. Yeah. It had like little papers with it, and I gave a little pen, and I'm hoping they use it for the same purpose, inspired by Leslie.
Maybe it'll be their New Year's resolution to use it.
Hope so. All right, we got to move on here.
Yes. Okay, so what's number 3, Katie?
Number 3 is numbing. And the daring response to that would be setting boundaries. There'll be a lot of themes with setting boundaries, and finding real comfort. So numbing is basically not feeling. I don't want to feel it. I'm not going to feel it. It's not happening. La, 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 la. On the other end, it's setting boundaries and finding real comfort. I have to say, I was like a 2.5 on that, honestly. Where are you on that?
I put a 2.
I
didn't do halves. I didn't know that was allowed.
I break the rules. I make my own.
Yeah, no, I did it too. But I think for obvious reasons. I think that's just like what a lot of us that are in leadership positions tend to do, of like, I can't slow down enough to have my feelings about this, so I'm just going to keep on charging ahead. I never would have defined it as numbing, though.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I would have defined it as like moving on. But no, like it kind of forced me to think introspectively and say, maybe it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
All right, let's go to number 4.
4, propagating the false dichotomy of victim or Viking, crush or be crushed. I get all these with like big words.
Dichotomy.
Yeah. And or daring would be practicing integration, strong back, soft front, wild heart. Whew. I was a 3.
Yeah, I am also. I'm a 3 as well on that.
Next time I host one of these, I should get a host that's less like me.
Right. Yeah.
No, I thought this was like, to me, this tends to be, in my opinion, more of the like kind of polarizing one than a lot of them. But I was kind of like, am I a 3 or a 4? And I just didn't feel confident enough to make myself a 4.
Yeah. Well, I think you're kind of a 4. So.
Okay. I don't know. All right.
All right. Let's go to 5. Being a knower and being read. I loved how she used the example of Norm from Cheers. He's the guy's like, well, actually, the alcohol level of that Chardonnay is almost exactly the same as that in an oyster shell. And we're like, okay, whatever. And those people used to annoy the F out of me. Like,
so if you're a 1, get out of this book club.
No, because I used to be 1.
Yeah.
I was a 1. I knew everything, and I couldn't stand it when I heard ignorance, and I had to speak the truth for the benefit of the people. And I could not suppress that impulse. I was really bad, and I sucked. Like, people were not into it at all, and I didn't really get it for a long time. So I'm way better at this, but I want to just let everybody know that I'm a recovering 1 in this one. How about you?
Fair enough. I was a 4 in this one. I'm big on, if I don't know how to do it, I want to figure out how to do it. I think I'm the only person also in my house I've realized that reads instructions before I do something. Which that was part of it for me. I was like, maybe I'm a 3. And then I was reading instructions and my kids were telling me how to do something. And I was the only one who had read the instructions. So I was the only one that did know how to do it. But I'm big on that. I would rather get it right the first time and take my time to get it right the first time than to just like know and say and charge kind of ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have to say, like, when I figured that out, it's made a huge, like, I'm definitely more of a 3, even a 4 now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool to go from one extreme to the other. It brings such depth to your personality and experience of yourself, but also others' experience of you.
Totally.
I'm gonna. Oh no, we gotta keep going.
Keep going.
Resist the temptation.
Yes, okay, resist the temptation. So the next, hiding behind cynicism or modeling clarity, kindness, and hope. I was a 4. I kind of feel like I do try to model clarity, kindness, and hope.
I think that I try, but then I think I'm kind of in the middle. Honestly, I wish I was better. I strive to be more of a 4, but I can get. No, it's my own judgment that I feel like I can get cynical. I think if you ask my family, they're like, "Oh God, Mom, you're Leslie Knope. You are not cynical." But maybe I judge it too harshly. I don't know. But I totally got it. Like, I really got it when that one was like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly." Cynicism and sarcasm, like, yeah.
Totally. So where are you on 7 then?
7, using criticism as self-protection versus making contribution and taking risks. I'm a 3 or 4 on that one. I am not.
You're not judgy, huh?
Well, oh, when you put it that way, no, I am. So this is what happens.
No, you are. Oh,
I'm
okay.
super judgy. No, it happens. It goes in my head. I go, oh, judgy. And then I go, girl, stop. just stop right. All right, let's go somewhere else with it. Okay. All right, we're good. And then I get myself back over to the light. So I manage that. I self manage in that one, but I'm aware that criticism as self-protection, and I will say, like, when I'm not feeling great, I can sometimes go there.
Yeah.
But most of the time I'm a 3 or a 4.
Yeah. I mean, mine was, it depends on the day. I was like, I'm going to say I'm a 2.5 because I think it depends on the day. I think I can go to that negative place of cynicism pretty easily, but
criticism
of criticism versus the contribution and taking risks. So it is what it is. So 8, using power over or using power with, power to, and power within.
Well, now if we're talking negotiating a deal, I will do whatever it takes. But this is terrible modeling. Oh, I blame Mr.
Yes.
Well, where are you on that?
I said I was at a 3. I'm very uncomfortable with hard, fast, like polarization. So I'm very uncomfortable with 1s and 4s.
Yeah, well, I'm jumping over to those purposely because I'm being daring.
Yeah,
being daring.
Dare on, Katie.
But you know what? You talked about parenting, and this is one where I am all for all day on this power thing. There is I actually read a really good book, and this is a book for any parents out there, and you too, Alyssa, if you haven't already read it, is Kids, Parents, and Power Struggles. And it isn't just about power struggles. It's about knowing yourself and knowing your kid and knowing when to get into it and when not to, or how to. And, it's not necessarily a power thing at all. And I sort of took like a judo response. I don't know if you ever know judo, like someone's going to punch you. You take the punch and you ride it down and you don't let it land. You don't push against the punch. You lean. Oh, okay. I'm going to lose my headphones. But you lean, you fall with it.
Yeah.
And I take it. I feel like I'm in a really good, I've nailed this one.
Yeah.
For number 8.
So number 9 was I'm a recovering one too. Hustling for our worth versus knowing our value. So I feel like I could not be a coach or a consultant if I didn't know my value and didn't help others know their value. The reason I point out that I'm a recovering one is I think most folks that are somewhat new in their industry, career path, whatever it may be, tend to hustle for their worth. Yep. And they really, really struggle with that, knowing their value. Once you know your value, your worth comes easy. But when you really kind of struggle with that tends to be when you're new, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. All right, 10, you get this one.
10, leading for compliance and control or cultivating commitment and shared purpose. I'm a 4 all day long on this one.
Yeah, I am too. That whole compliance thing, first of all, it's against my religion of myself. Like comply,
I don't understand compliance or authority or
but complying is just blah, 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 blah. No, that for me represents a surrender of your individuality. I question everything. So I think we're both solid 4s on that one.
Yeah, I agree.
How about weaponizing fear and uncertainty? Versus acknowledging, naming, and normalizing collective, love how she uses this word, collective fear and uncertainty. That's a real thing. Acknowledging it. Hey, listen, so interest rates just went up. And in our industry, in my market right here in real estate, we just had this new pretty severe tax be put on our short-term rentals. Basically, it's the Airbnb, they're coming down on Airbnb in our area, and it's going to have a huge impact on our sales. We're in a resort community here, and everybody's kind of freaking out. And the best way to talk about it is just to talk about it. Be like, yeah, this is different. This is going to add a lot of expense. This is going to change how people look at rentals here. It's going to change how you put your rentals out. It's going to change how you price these houses that are going to be sold as rentals. All right, let's just look at it. and breaking it down without being alarmist or freaky. I'm a big 4 on this one.
Yeah, I'm a big 4 on this one too. And part of it is like one of the scripts that I kind of first learned and first taught myself when I was new was, if you're anything like me, ... And I mean, I'm all for, you've got to put yourself in people's situations and for people to really have that buy-in. And that's something I wholeheartedly believe. So
yes.
I'm with you. I'm a 4.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we got to bang through these last 5 here.
Yes.
Take number 12.
Rewarding exhaustion as a status symbol and attaching productivity to self-worth, or modeling and supporting rest, play, and recovery. So most people would think that a coach would be a 1. And I'm going to dispute that and put myself as a 4.
Yeah.
Because my belief is I'm really big on you modeling, supporting rest, play, and recovery does not mean that you don't honor the struggle or enjoy the process. It means that you believe in that balance.
This is something that that we see with independent contractors of any kind, sales agents of any kind. This is kind of an epidemic, and yeah, it needs to change. All right, 13, tolerating discrimination, echo chambers, and fitting in culture versus cultivating a culture of belonging, inclusivity, and diverse perspectives. I have noticed some of my good friends who are smart and I would think emotionally progressive box themselves into these echo chambers. We think echo chambers are for other people. I guess I got to look at myself first here. I suppose, I don't know. I don't tolerate. I'm absolutely a 4 on this one.
Yeah.
Maybe a 3.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say I'm a 3.5, 4 there. I think it's important to have that culture of belonging and inclusiveness. So I don't really get the 1.
Yeah.
But that's
no. So the discrimination one, I think we both are like, hell no.
Yeah.
But I think it's very easy for people to get into an echo chamber. Like if you pare down your Facebook audience or your Facebook friends to just the people who agree with you all the time or see things the same way you do all the time, I guess that's one strategy for life. But just understand what you've created there, an echo chamber.
Yeah.
And if you really want to grow and hear, really, let's talk about including. So really including, what does that mean? That means people that you don't like.
Yeah.
Including them and their ideas in your world. And if we all did that a little bit better, all of us did that a little bit better, the world would be a better place.
Totally. This next one, I'm going to steal from your friend John on mine. Collecting gold stars versus giving gold stars. And his comment was 1 on Monday, 4 on Tuesday, rinse and repeat throughout the week. I guess that means a 2.5. I'm going to go with that. And I think I'm going to go with that answer. I love that answer because I think here's the thing. And I think I'm going to guess that you've got to be somewhere like that. I think you're great at giving gold stars, but I also think that we have like this high performance necessity about us that, we want to achieve, we want to accomplish. And so we do want some of those gold stars. We might not need the accolades that come with it, but we do need just personality wise, some of those gold stars.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And I would say I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
15, zigzagging and avoiding versus straight talking and taking action. I used to be a 1 all freaking day. Conflict gave me hives. And I realize now that there is magic in the mess. Where there's poop, there's a pony. So I'm right in at the 4 on that.
Yeah, I would say I am also a recovering 1, but I put myself as a 3 because I think professionally, I think I'm a 4 all day long. But I think personally, sometimes I'm like, yeah. And I tried to look at this big picture of like everything. And so personally, I just kind of like was like, sometimes I do avoid a little. So yeah. All right. Last one, leading from hurt versus leading from heart. I mean, I know where I stand on this one. Where are you?
I think I'm a 4.
Yeah, I was a 4.
Yeah, that's kind of an easy one for me. I suppose there were times when when I was in the middle of hurt that maybe I led from there, but I'm good.
Absolutely.
Coming from the heart.
Absolutely. So you guys, the PDF that Katie and I just worked off of is posted in the Between the Lines Facebook group. So one more time, if you're not in the group, make sure that you drop us a comment or a message. If you watch this on replay, make sure you drop us a comment or a message letting us know that you're not in the group, and we'll go ahead and add you. And then we are going to each month end with a challenge. Because what fun is it to just make you read and then not do anything? And I've loved how interactive you guys are. So please, next month, come back, comment, and take this sort of energy to the Facebook group and continue to interact. I know Katie and I are going to commit to continuing to post in there and interact with you guys. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. But here's our challenge. We want to see how you're living the things that you've learned in this book. So whether it's you are showing daring leadership, or you are trying to do something that was a takeaway, we want to hear about it. But we also understand that commenting on a public Facebook group might not be how you want to share it. Right. Just because Katie and I want to share all of our life on a public Facebook group doesn't mean that everybody else will. So in that Facebook group, it is a private group with just the Between the Lines members, the people that have signed up. And we would love to hear from you guys. Or if you want to post it on your own personal page and tag us, that's also fine. But those of you that post the ways that you are living Dare to Lead, or your takeaways from Dare to Lead, by next Thursday are going to get entered to win, or entered for a chance to win next month's book, which is The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins, who is like Katie and my spirit animal.
Oh my God. I have a picture with her, you know.
I know. I don't worry. I cry a tear of shame every day about it, Katie. No, I think it's exciting. And so the idea is we really want you guys to live on beyond this book, to live on beyond episode 1 and beyond, 9:00 tonight. Those of you that haven't finished the book, that's okay. I really think you should. For me, it got better and better and better.
Fine, I'll finish it.
Yes, Katie's going to listen to it. If you need to listen to it, whatever you want to do, really try and finish it. By the way, the 3 takeaways that we mentioned are on page 271, which is the last page of the book. I swear I read the whole book, but then I was like, well, this is perfect. So definitely do that. Post in the Facebook group. You guys, I've had so much fun tonight. How about you, Katie?
This was awesome. I am fired up.
Me too. Me too. It's
next month is going to be on the Thursday, like it is every month, at the same time, same place, right here in the Compass South page. And the book is The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. We will put a link to it in the group. And we'll also throw it up on Compass South, because we're going to be bringing, more people. This is going to grow.
For sure.
Please invite people in and let them know that you can read it or not read it. We're going to spoon feed you all the big takeaways from it, so you can just show up.
Absolutely.
But you will get, the more you read, the more you'll get out of it. And if you have these hard copy books, and it depends on your style, but it's good. It's good to have these books, and be very interested to see what happens if you do this every single month. If you really read these books and you really dig in with us, what could happen?
I'm excited. I'm so excited about it, because I read these books all the time, but then I don't have anybody to talk about them with.
Yeah.
I'm excited that you guys are like my own social experiment. But I'm having a blast.
Oh, she said it out loud.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
No, I'm having a blast actually talking and discussing the book with you guys. And I know it's going to be awesome when we continue it. I know Katie said we'd be respectful of your time, and I'm watching this clock.
8:59.
It doesn't turn to 9 p.m. while I'm talking. But again, thank you guys so much for coming. We will see you guys next month. Bye,
Thanks, guys. Dare to lead.